everyone, welcome back to my garden. My name's Maude and Keith is my constant garden companion, my cat. And today we're just going to get out in the garden and just kind of walk around and see how everything's looking. We are at the end of January and we've just had a storm come through and we've had quite a lot of rain, and I just want to kind of have a look and see how everything's doing. I think some of the shrubs are looking really good, so probably just going to kind of turn the camera over, kind of walk through the garden. There's some things that they are what they are, but it's always nice to kind of get out and kind of have a look and see and plan. I've got a lot of plans for when you put things in garden beds, you tend to kind of move them around. I can make a plan, and I am good at making plans, and I have lists. I'm really good at making plant lists, but I'm also really good at putting something in the ground, and if I don't like it, I'll move it. And I think probably most gardeners are that way. So there are a couple of beds that I put things in because I've come across them and I like them. So temporarily we'll put them in a bed and then I plan on moving them. And I've got one bed that we reworked a couple videos ago. That was the woodland long border. So we reworked that bed. We reworked the woodland path. Those were really good tasks to do at the beginning of January into December. And I've got 3 other beds that I will probably be reworking. Actually, 2 of them. I think one's almost there. It'll be interesting to see how some of the perennials that I planted last year, how they kind of come back and respond. And I think that's the other thing, is sometimes you'll buy something and you really like it, but it just doesn't suit your garden, or sometimes it's not vigorous enough and the slugs get it, and then you just kind of have to give up on that plant. But I'm really excited because it is sunny today and it feels so good. I love it. I'm out in a jumper. So viva la spring, it's coming. It's also nice to see the sun starting to kind of come back in its rightful place, which is kind of directly above. You're going to see a lot of the gardens actually in shade, but this is kind of southwest facing. So actually during the summer it does get quite a lot of sun. So there's that to bear in mind. And I'm just going to be kind of having a look at some of the things that are coming into flower. Oh, I've got the Acacia delbrata that's kind of punching out flowers. It's not in full peak, but that's something to look at, so we'll have a look at that. And I've got a couple other plants that are still flowering, and my Edgeworthia, it seems to be slower than everyone else's Edgeworthia, and I don't know if that's because I have it in a more sheltered spot, or if it's kind of because it's relatively newly planted. I'm not sure, but I saw a couple of the little kind of flowers coming out and I was really excited. You could smell it, so that will be really nice. And yeah, like I said, we're just going to kind of walk around, maybe have a look at the front bed too, and kind of see what that's looking like for now. And then I can pat myself on the back in summer when it's all in bloom and there's not a gap anywhere in sight, and I'll think, wow, okay, you did it. So yeah, anyways, if you want to spend 10-15 minutes and just kind of looking at my messy garden, just kind of see how things are, and then if you want to kind of follow along, you can actually see what it looks like in spring summer. And actually there was a comment by Becky someone, sorry, I don't know the full handle, but she made a comment and she said, I bet your garden looks really lovely in kind of summertime. And I thought, actually, that's the one thing I haven't really shown. I haven't shown what the garden looks like in summer, so I thought maybe I could also kind of put in a couple of clips of what it looks like when it's all kind of full, because I do have a lot of tree canopy, and obviously there's a lot of deciduous trees, and so right now it looks kind of bare, but there's a lot more kind of dimension to the back garden. Anyways, I'm going to turn my camera over, and I'm holding my camera up and my hand is shaking, so I think this is a good time to turn the camera over and just kind of show you what we've got going on. See you in a bit. Okay, garden friends, so I'm just going to start with the front and just kind of show you what the front of the house is looking. I did take all of the Christmas decks down. You can see the railings starting to peel. That's because I just temporarily spray painted it. We moved in. I absolutely hate it, but I'm going to leave it for now. But a couple of things I wanted to show you is what the kind of front is looking like now. Keith is kind of in there. Now, I do have some plans for this, and if I can, if Mr. Maude lets me, I want to take this wall down much lower. I want to see more plants, layered and tiered. You know, I've got a really cool idea I'm just going to show you. So I've got a Berberis darwinii, which is a dwarfing variety, and there's a bigger variety. It has these beautiful orange flowers, and I kind of wouldn't mind having a low hedge of that going across the front of this, just kind of over the bricks. I do want to leave some of the bricks for soil retention, and also, you know, for splashback for when dogs are walking down the street and having a wee and what have you. And Keith, I just saw Keith marking my Sekonsuchi in the back. God, this cat. Okay, so let's have a look at the front. So a couple of things that I'm really enjoying right now. So the lavender, and I can't remember the lavender variety of this one, but it's a really, really big variety. And I think during the summer and kind of autumn time, our postman probably really hates this because it covers all of the steps. But I clipped all of that back, and it's starting to really kind of fill in. I'm trying to make sure that I stay on top of this so that I don't have gaps. I did have a few gaps this year, but it'll be interesting to see if it fills in. Look at him. Trying to run away. So let's look at the front. So I'm really enjoying the swirls. So topiaries were probably something that I started. You're gonna have to forgive my shadow, everyone. But I'm not sorry because the sun's out. So enjoy it. But the swirl is looking really good. I've really kind of enjoyed this. I want this to get much taller, probably 6 to 8 feet tall, and then just kind of carry on that swoop. I've never done topiaries before, but I think this one absolutely is just so fun. This is the Cupressa Wilma. It's got that lovely kind of lemongrass scent to it. And then as you go up the front of the steps, maybe another project that I might be able to do is I want to take these steps that are concrete. I thought about loads of different things that we could do. At one point, I thought about removing the planters and having the steps go that way, just for ease of access from the car. But actually, I just think none of that's really necessary. Kind of over-engineering probably a project here. I think I'm going to be really simple. I think I want to paint the stairs black, and I think I want to do a square border at the front and then white stripes going down on either side, almost like a runner. So I think that would look quite nice and tidy. Maybe at some point I can come in and tile it. I know the paint's not going to last forever, but I think it would look a little bit smarter than what it looks now. And actually, I want the front to just be mostly kind of shrubs, and if there's a little bit of a formal element for the entry, I'm kind of down with that. Hey, Keith, you enjoying the sun too? He's been stuck inside because it's raining. Okay, so in the plants. So I had a chrysanthemum planted, or a mum planted, not one of the hardy ones, but just, you know, kind of the normal autumn mums. This one's kind of lovely lilac purple color. I had this planted during the autumn, and I cut it back because they'll do okay, but you kind of have to look after them, and I wasn't really down for that. So I just cut it back and piled a bunch of pine cones on top of it for kind of some winter interest. I've taken all the pine cones down, and actually the chrysanthemum was reshooting from that cutback. So I thought that was not bad. And I just covered it with a bit of sheet moss to tidy up. Maybe I might replace this with some spring flowering bulbs, but I think it's absolutely fine for now. It's tidy and clean. And where Keith is, I've got another topiary. So again, this is the same Cupressa Wilma, and this one I'm trying to do the 3 little ball things just for a bit of fun, and I'm waiting for the shape to kind of fill in. I can't imagine I'm going to let it get much taller than that. And then underneath this I do have a sedum that is evergreen. In the autumn it does go red, and it also flowers, and it's very prolific, and I love how it kind of cascades. I know it's kind of hard to see, but I really enjoy how it cascades down the pot. You can see that here. They do kind of break off, and when they break off they also get on the soil and spread everywhere, but I don't mind it. Then I have the other pot. This one was never something that was planned. I probably have talked about this before, but this is an ivy, or variegated ivy, and I thought it was Fatshedra japonica, which is a cross between Fatsia. Is it Fatsia and ivy, if I'm not mistaken? It wasn't. It was just hedra, so it was just ivy. But it was really lovely and I couldn't throw it away, even though I spent a whole year pulling ivy off the side of the house. So I took our old Christmas wreath down and I've been winding it around that, and I've really enjoyed having that. And the rose bush that we planted when we first moved in, it was a little bit of a stick of a thing. It's a climbing rose called Susie. It has a really lovely kind of fresh lemony scent, and it's completely defoliated, which is good. That means it can kind of start over, and I am training it to kind of go up and go as high as it wants to go, and I'm also trying to train it to go around the side of the house as well. I might even spend a little bit more time on pulling the branches kind of down and curving them down, just to kind of see if I can get more blooms, or at the very least make it look a little bit more architectural when there is dieback. But I might also come in and one of the things I like to do is kind of defoliate the rose. So I'm going to come in and take the rest of these rose leaves off, kind of like this. And that means that during the spring, you get a completely new, fresh growth of leaves. The other thing I want to talk about is my Christmas wreath. So I'm really excited about this. I didn't film making it. To be honest, it didn't take very much time at all. But I was taking down the Christmas decorations and it was looking really bare. And I wanted to try to make a Christmas wreath all year round, and not a Christmas wreath, but just like a normal holiday wreath. And so I took it down and I thought, well, what's the next holiday? Well, I really want to do Easter, but I thought I'd do Valentine's Day. And I think it turned out really cute and it works fairly well. So I've got some sheet moss, and we get enough moisture for this to still kind of be alive and not completely dead. So that's kind of really fun. And I think what I'm going to do is just kind of keep this as the base and then just kind of change out whatever small decorations I do. So that's been a kind of fun addition, just project. And I've got the jasmine kind of covering up, the house. Eventually this will cover the entire front. I've got some autumn joy sedum. This actually gets a lot taller than I thought. I haven't quite decided if I'm going to move it further back into the bed, but it does spread really, quite vigorously. So I do want to go in here. So you can see the new growth, these little rosettes. I do want to go in here and kind of thin this out a little bit, because I also have other things that are eventually kind of re-established for a bit more structure. So I've got a few more of this cupressa for these topiaries, just for a little bit more kind of winter interest over time. This one can get quite big. These two will be nice round balls. That way when things tend to die back, like this witch hazel, it still looks really good. And there's a few changes. So I've got a rubrum, I want to say it's Pennisetum, but I'm not sure. I'll put the name on the screen. It's a really lovely kind of purple grass with these really kind of beautiful soft leaves, and I want to kind of divide this over time and spread it through. There is some St. John's wort pinkberry, really easy to propagate. I've got one in the front here, one around the side, and as this Sekon Suji grows up to this top window here, this can kind of just fill in underneath and just kind of be a nice kind of all season interest. I've also got some ground cover through here, some grasses, some heuchera. I would like to see if I can plug in the rest of the gaps that are kind of throughout this space. I'm almost there. There are some rhododendrons. So this is Percy Wiseman. So there and there. It's a really, really lovely soft apple blossom pink. That was one of the first things that I put in this bed. And then behind that, I have a let me see if I can get the name of this right. So I want to say it's Heucherina. Crinidaria. I'll put the name on the screen, but this is basically a Chilean lantern. It's the one with the red variety. There's also a white variety that's kind of cool. But this one can get as big as it wants to get, quite tall. But I'm not going to let it get much taller than the bottom of this windowsill. One of the other things that I want to do for the front of this, let's see if I can back up, for the front of our house, originally when we moved in, is I was going to do a flower box here and one there and one there. But then as I've kind of waited for some of these other plants to kind of mature and grow in, I've actually realized that to put a window box here means that I have to limit the height of the things that I plant. And actually, I think I'm just going to let all the plants fill up to the bottom of this and then only do the window boxes at the top 2 windows there. I've also got a hydrangea in the back. That's the standard microphylla mop head. It's nice and white. It was a gift from a friend, and I absolutely love it. And I've got some euphorbia silver swan. Actually, when we bought this euphorbia, it was stretched out like this, and then I planted it. And then these were actually cuttings and divisions. It's really easy to propagate. But it's also gotten really leggy again. I haven't really been bothered to look into why it's done that, but I really enjoy this kind of cooling blue color that's in the garden. I have a stiff weeper larix, which is a deciduous conifer. This is really lovely. It gives kind of all your interest. It's got a little bit of winter structure. The leaves turn, a lovely golden color in the autumn. And amongst this, I've got 1, 2, and 3. I've got a taller variety of grasses, and they are heavy metal. So they've got a little bit of that blue color, but we get a lot of wind, and so I wanted something a little bit more wild, but also that had a bit more movement in the front. And so those will get a little bit bigger over time. You can kind of see through them, so that's okay too. And I've got a couple of other shrubs through here, a few rose shrubs as well. But one of the next things to talk about is this Japanese acer that you can't really see. And eventually it's going to get probably quite tall. So there's quite a few trees that are actually in here. But this one is the one with the white and pink variegated leaves. And I think I've got it in the right amount of soil and free draining. This bed actually has quite a lot of gravel in it from I think previous homeowners and things that they've done, and I have amended and I've had added kind of compost, but this is going to be, if it makes it, it's going to be a really nice kind of lovely sparse tree to kind of see through, and I'll keep it pruned up. And then in the back there, there's a Michaela Fairy Magnolia. I think this one is the Fairy Blush, so it's a kind of pink variety. It's evergreen, and I bought it, I think I bought it on sale, so it was looking a little ragged, but it already has buds on it. But I really like that kind of apple green, and that should just fill in that kind of whole section there. And the last thing that I want to talk about in the front, so just in front of Keith, is this. I always call it capsicum, but that's not, I think that's pepper. But this is a snake bark acer. There's another name for it. I'll put the name on the screen. This variety is called flamingo, but you can see it's got this really lovely kind of hot pink red color. This is another tree that would get as big as I let it, and I kind of want this to kind of come over this opening a bit and just limit up high enough to where it kind of cascades down. I think that'd be a really nice structure, and it's got winter structure as well, so I don't mind if it kind of blocks a little bit of the window. And it's got that hot pink, because the colors that I'm trying to keep to the front of this bed are yellows, oranges, and pinks, and that kind of blue foliage color. So that's everything in the front. It's looking pretty full. It's looking a lot better than it's ever looked in terms of planting, but I'm really excited to see over the kind of spring, summer, what this starts looking like, and I hope it just feels really verdant and fresh and full, because that is what I'm after. I also have a couple of grasses that were a gift from a friend. I actually need to divide these. They're not grasses, but they have grass texture. These are actually phormiums, and I think this one's called Sundowner. And I've got one here, and they can actually get quite big. I think I'm going to move probably this one here back to the back, because I think it can accommodate that. And the last thing that I want to talk about is my witch hazel. So witch hazel is relatively himalis. It's relatively slow growing, and it's finally starting to flower. But the flowers are not out in full. This one is Yelena, so it's got this kind of lovely orange color here, and it's just a really beautiful color. And there's a few other stems. There's a few other stems too. That are, sorry everyone, it makes me a bit nervous when he's out in the front because I'm worried about cars and stuff. But you can see there's a few others, so this is starting to come out. I was worried that it wasn't going to bloom because it's later than it's ever bloomed. So that's pretty much everything in the front garden, and I'm really happy with things are looking, and I'm quite excited for spring, and I've really enjoyed the wreath for the front. I want to take you through. I'm not gonna talk about every single plant because you would never watch this video, it'd be way too long. But there's a couple of things I'm really excited about, so I'll start with those. So this is the Edgeworthia Chrysantha grandiflora. So this is the slightly bigger variety. You can see that it's starting to come out, and the scent is just a beautiful, lovely scent, and it's going to be these golden heads all the way over. So I'm really excited about this coming out. I really love yellow flowers, and a tree that flowers is even better, or a tall shrub. But this is really excited. If you don't have this in your garden, I really, really, really highly recommend. It is a fabulous plant. The Dixonia antarcticas that we've planted, those are actually doing really well, and they've only had a little bit of damage, so I think they're doing really good. We've got the right climate for it. But the one plant that I'm really excited about for a couple of reasons, this gets a lot of shade during the winter time. You can see we're in shade now, whereas during the summer this will be in sun. And this tree that I planted is a tree. It's supposed to do better in full sun, part shade, that kind of thing. But it comes from New Zealand, I think. And this one is Acacia delbrata, or that's how I pronounce it. I'll put the name on the screen. Sometimes it's called blue wattle, or it's even called, the little puffball tree. But I really, really love, look at this color. So I'm really excited for a couple of reasons. One, I didn't think it would do really well here, so it was a trial. It was an impulse purchase, and when I got it home, I realized that actually this gets like 40,000 meters tall, which is just way too big for this garden. So I thought if I could use this tree and kind of do a creative espalier, to kind of swirl around and along this kind of area, then actually that would be really a good use for quite a vigorous flowering tree. It is slightly scented. Let me see if I can get a scent of it. Just one second. I can't really get a strong fragrance from it. I might be kind of congested, but look at this lovely yellow coming through. How cheery is that in spring? And this does need a bit of a kind of a cutback and kind of reshaping, and I'm slowly kind of bending this along the fence, but because of all these blooms, I really wanted to wait till it stopped blooming before I did any of that. But again, look how beautiful and cheerful this is. Sometimes called a mimosa, but there's a lot of mimosa named things. The cyclamen that we planted, so I planted these, so there should be a video of this one up as well. Again, we're end of January. These were 50p, I think, or 60p per cyclamen. Absolutely good steal, so I bought those, and they're in the ground underneath this acer. And I have a couple of other things that are coming out, and I keep talking about this one in all the videos, but it's just doing really well. This is the Caria japonica, and this one is called Pleniflora. So you can see it's got this really nice kind of frilly, pom-pom, buttery yellow color. And this I'm going to train kind of along the fence, and I want it to get as big as it wants to get. So that's looking really good. And I'm not quite sure if it's the shade, but these grasses, these Japanese sedges, gosh, they're just so beautiful in a shadier area. And then also the blue from the Pembury blue conifer that's in the back, that's also looking really vivid right now. This is a tree that we'll talk about later on. And this little guy is doing its thing. It's still growing. Eventually, this will be quite a nice statement around the pond area. You can see it's kind of got this really lovely cascading element. My Daphne Princess, Perfume Princess. This one is absolutely still blooming and it smells lovely, and it's just something is eating it, but it's still holding onto its vigor. So it's a really good plant. Sorry for the sun, everyone. This bed is the bed that we reworked. I'm really enjoying what this looks like right now. It's just absolutely a step in the right direction for how I envision this space being. And also, I cannot get over how much nicer this pathway looks. Beautiful. See, I mean, look at the color. This is in shade. Come on. Look how nice that looks. So you can see I'm starting to define that space a little bit more. I've got the Hebes filling in. So this is looking really good. And let's do a status check on these hellebores. So this is Dorothy's Dawn, I think is the name of this hellebore, and I'd never seen a hellebore with this kind of variegated foliage. Oh, we got a little bit of nibbling on this hellebore, and the flowers are about to open, or the bracts are about to open, but I hope that this is one that I can successfully spread all through this bed. I think this is a lovely contrast with that kind of blue variegation to this kind of beautiful yellow color that I seem to be drawn to. Still quite a good amount of evergreen interest. The skimmia, I mean, hello. Look at how vibrant this is and how cooling that is. Absolutely perfect. I hope they all make it. I know they're slow growing, but I enjoy them. The other hellebore that we've recently planted looks like it's been here all winter long. It's doing really well. So tree canopy, I'm starting to get some budding up on some of these trees, and that's quite exciting. And this is probably one of the beds that I plan on reworking a little bit. There's some changes coming in here. There's some spirea that I want to take out. And I want to talk about this grass. So this is Carex. I think it's a Carex. And this one is called Red Rooster. And I planted it. Okay, so I saw it in the garden center, loved it, thought it was amazing. I planted it and I thought, oh God, I hate it. Because it just looked dead. However, if you've seen this one, I think it's called Buchanan something, but I'll put the name on the screen. If you see this one and you are a fan of just kind of nice wispy texture and autumn foliage, I highly recommend, because this one's really starting to get some size on it, and I think that's what's making the difference. And also you can see, do you see this beautiful red variegation coming through? I mean, beautiful. Really, really nice. So I'm going to leave these. I thought I was going to take them out, but I'm leaving them. And I've got a couple of other shrubs and stuff that are through here. And there's a Japanese quince, crimson and gold in the back. If that doesn't produce for me, that one is going. I'm tired of it. It can go in the back hedge or something. Sorry, there's someone's dog barking. And this area, so this is the grass pathway that I kept. So you can see we're finally getting a bit of sun. Look how beautiful and lovely this looks. It's really, really, really enjoyable. This is what it's all about, I think. I might kind of redefine some of this edge as it bleeds into one bed or the other. And to be honest, I might even slightly move the pavers slightly further into this side of the bed to make this side of the bed a little bit bigger. But those are things that are coming over time. This side, I'm more or less really happy with. I think it's looking good. I've got a few trees that are scattered in here. I've got the Omaruka spruce in the back, which provides some really, really lovely structure to this garden. That's doing well. It was so heavy. And sometimes you see things like this in the garden center and you go, I can't possibly spend that much money on that tree. It's too expensive. but actually what it delivers to the space is 100% worth it, because it does give me a bit of more vertical height and evergreen vertical height, so it makes the garden feel bigger than it actually is. And of course I've got some Siberian cherry trees. I think it's Siberian. I'm struggling with names today, everyone, so sorry. I'll put them up on the screen. But this is a beautiful, lovely peeling bark. I'm going to see if I can try to show you. So it's got this lovely peeling bark. And if I put you towards the sun, when the sun hits it, it's got the most lovely illumination. How wonderful is that? So this is one that I've done a couple of prunings on it to kind of encourage more branches. This is something that is quite vigorous and it can get quite big, but I want the majority of the canopy to be slightly higher, and that way that'll allow more sun to come through. This is a Japanese acer called Starfish. It's a palmatum. This is one that my husband picked up, and to be fair, it's been one of the vigorous Japanese maples that we have. I've not seen any signs of wilt, knock on wood. And I've got a couple of other things through here. And I think I've talked about some of the changes coming to this bed, but this is probably the one that I want to work on the most. It's probably one of my deepest beds, and it does get a good amount of sun. I did have a Japanese acer palmatum bihu in the back, and it was beautiful and glorious, and it was the perfect thing for that space, but we had so much winter wet, and I did amend the soil, but I don't think I lifted it. Sometimes you have to plant these trees higher than the actual soil, significantly higher, so that they're not really as impacted from the water and stuff. It gets the kind of free draining things that it requires, but it has susceptible to wilt, and I think the whole tree is kind of gone. I don't know if I'll be putting a Japanese maple back in that place, even though I really wanted Bihu there because it was just electric yellow. Maybe I might switch to a yellow twig dogwood and grow it into tree form. I'm not really sure. But I do have some Diosma or Diosema in the back. That's just finally getting a bit of size on it. That gets around about 3 foot by 3 foot. And I've got my fire chief thujas, which are doing really good. So they have these lovely, soft kind of meatball texture to them to add a little bit more kind of formality. And there is in here, I've got a few kind of perennials, but I want to add a lot more. So I've got some penstemon, apple blossom. I've got some scabiosa. I've got some aquilegia. This one is kissing barlow, I think, or it's the black variety, and I've saved the seeds, and I'm going to spread the seeds everywhere. And I've got a bunch of seeds that I've collected from plants that I've seen either in the wild or just out and about, and I think what I'm going to do is kind of scatter them all through here and just see what survives. There is a really nice kind of purple toad flax that does really well. I'm not sure how it'll do in this kind of soil because the soil does stay a little wet because it is a clay base, but I think I want to just kind of spread it out. There's some Minersmo euphorbia. I think I'm actually going to divide one of these and put it in the back to kind of give a little bit more kind of purple here and some here. And I've got some canna and a couple of other things that are in the back. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's about 6 trees that are in this space. So I'm really looking forward to developing this space. So I think overall, I mean, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? If you do not have this variety of grass, there's no filter on that. Stunning. You need to get one. So this is caramel bronze. It's a Carex. Look how absolutely beautiful that is. Oh, love it. And I've got some heathers that are tucked in. So you can see some Kaluna heathers, some winter flowering heathers. There's some heuchera, some Santolina lemon fizz. I mean, just absolutely, completely in love with this. This is what I was hoping that the grass pathway on the other side would look like, but in blue. and it just didn't really kind of work the way that I wanted to, but I absolutely love this. And I think that's pretty much everything that I wanted to show you. We've talked about the winter flowering honeysuckle. That's still going strong. I have messy areas in my garden too. I've got things that I want to do long term that are just going to take a long time and, a good chunk of money. So eventually I want a chicken coop here, and a dream of dreams, a greenhouse, and maybe, just maybe, this summer I will be putting the raised beds in for the kitchen potager. So it's this entire area. So it's about 25 by 25 feet. And I want to do tall raised beds that are up to my hip so I don't have to bend over because I'm an old lady. And this whole area would be a really nice kind of lovely kitchen potager. It looks like an absolute tip right now. But I think the garden is looking so much better than I thought a garden could look in the middle of winter. Of course, we're on the south coast of England, so we've got a slightly more mild climate. But I'm slowly working towards an all-year-round garden. Winter interest, summer interest, spring interest. Something always in flower, texture, color. And a cat named Keith. Hi everyone. Okay, so this wasn't really a garden video in terms of me actually doing something. It's more of a really bad garden tour. I'm sure the sun was glaring and I'm sure it wasn't that great. But it is just such a beautiful day in the garden. It's so lovely. And I just couldn't help but kind of wanting to get outside and kind of share what things are looking like. I'm really pleased with the progress that we've made over the past couple of years. I think I'm going to slow down a little bit on, investing in some of the larger things because I've ticked that box. But I think that now what I'm looking for is kind of that gap filling, maybe exploring some of the things that aren't really as essential to the garden, like bulbs and all of the other stuff that, you get to see people kind of plant en masse. But hopefully you enjoyed that. I've got a lot of exciting things coming, I think, for kind of spring, summer, autumn. So hopefully you stick around and kind of see what we get up to. And if you have any kind of comments or suggestions or questions, feel free to pop it below. One of the reasons why I started this channel was to kind of share my enthusiasm and my love for my garden with people that kind of felt the same. And hopefully you're as a fanatic as I am. If I've got anything wrong or if there's any corrections, also please tell me. I'm always trying to learn. And I will catch you later. Thanks for watching.